Hello everyone, welcome to my channel once again, and my apologies for a little delay in posting the video. In this video, we will read about a little monkey, Toto. In the chapter The Adventure of Toto, chapter 2 of class 9th book Moments. The chapter is written by well-known author Ruskin Bond, who is an Indian author of British origin. So without delay, let's read about Toto. Have you ever had a baby monkey as a pet? Toto is a baby monkey. Let's find out whether he is mischievous or docile. Mischievous means naughty and docile means someone who is very easy to control. So Toto is a baby monkey and we will read about Toto in this chapter. To begin with, grandfather brought Toto home. Grandfather brought Toto from a tonga driver. Tonga is a cart which is driven by horses for the sum of 5 rupees. So grandfather paid 5 rupees to a Tonga driver and brought Toto home. The Tonga driver used to keep the little red monkey tied to a feeding trough. Feeding trough is a narrow container which is used for feeding animals. And the monkey looked so out of place there that grandfather decided he would add the little fellow to his private zoo. So Toto was tied to a feeding trough to a narrow container by the Tonga driver, and he looked so out of place there that grandfather decided that he would pay 5 rupees to the Tonga driver and bring Toto home to add one more little fellow to his private zoo. So grandfather had a private zoo where he had many animals and he decided to add Toto also in his collection. Toto, a pretty monkey. Toto was a pretty monkey. Toto was beautiful and his eyes were bright that sparkled with mischief, that means naughtiness, beneath, that means below, deep set eyebrows. He had deep dark eyebrows and bright mischievous eyes. His teeth were pearly white and he would often display his teeth while smiling. That would scare the elderly Anglo-Indian ladies in the house. Anglo-Indian means British Indian. As the author was British Indian, the ladies in the house were British Indian. But his hands looked dried up as though they had been pickled in the sun for many years. Pickle means it's a process of drying something in the sun so that all the water gets evaporated. So Toto's hands looked dried up as if they had been pickled. Yet his fingers were quick and wicked, and his tail, while adding to his good looks, grandfather believed a tail would add to anyone's good look, also served as a third hand. So his fingers were quick. He would do everything quickly with his fingers, and his tail also was an addition to his good look. Along with that, it also served as third hand for him. Grandfather believed that tail can add good looks to anyone's look. He could use it to hang from a branch and it was capable of scooping up any delicacy that might be out of reach of his hands. So what was the use of Toto's tail? To scoop up, that means to get any delicacy, any food, any tasty food that was out of reach from his hand. He could use his tail to get that food item. Grandmother always fussed. Fussed means to get annoyed or irritated whenever grandfather brought a new bird or animal home. So it was decided to keep Toto's presence a secret until grandmother was particularly in a good mood. So the author and grandfather decided to put Toto away for a little while into a little closet opening. Closet is a small almirah on the wall, into the author's bedroom, where he was tied on a peg. Peg is a small pin or bolt, and which was fastened on the wall. So Toto was kept in a small closet opening and tied on a peg which was on the wall. A few hours later, when grandfather and author came back to release Toto, they found that the walls, which were covered with some ornamental, that means decorative piece of paper chosen by grandfather, it was all torn from the wall, and now the wall was naked with brick and plaster. That means Toto has torn all the ornamental paper from the wall, and the peg in the wall had been wrenched. Wrenched means pulled or twisted from its socket. The peg was taken out from the socket where it was fastened. And the author's school blazer that had been hanging there, it was in shreds. That means it was in pieces. So The ornamental paper was torn, the peg was twisted, and the school blazer was into pieces. I wonder what grandmother would say. So the author was wondering what grandmother would say if she sees all that. But the grandfather was relaxed. He didn't worry. He seemed to be pleased with Toto's performance. He seemed to understand that Toto is a mischievous monkey. He's clever, said grandfather. Given time, I'm sure he could have tied the torn pieces of blazer into a rope and made his escape from the window. So grandfather said that he is clever. If he had time, I'm sure he would have tied those torn pieces of blazer and he would have gone out from the window. Toto's presence in the house was still a secret, and after some time, Toto was transferred to a big cage which was in servants' quarter, where there were a number of grandfather's pets who lived very sociably together. They used to live friendly. There was a tortoise, a pair of rabbits, that means a trained squirrel, and for a while, the author's pet goat. But the monkey wouldn't allow any of his companions, any of his partners in the quarter to sleep at night. So grandfather, who had to leave Dehradun the next day, who had to go to Saharanpur to collect his pension, decided to take Toto along with him. Now, grandfather takes Toto to Saharanpur. And how did he do that? Unfortunately, the author could not accompany grandfather to this trip. But afterwards, grandfather told him about what had happened. So how was Toto taken to Saharanpur? A big black canvas kit bag. Canvas is a strong and coarse fabric often used to make bags and shoes. So a big black canvas kit bag was provided to Toto. Some straws were put at the bottom. Straw means dry grass. It was put at the bottom and it became his new abode, his new home for a while. The bag was closed and there was no escape. The bag was completely closed. Toto could not even get his hands through the opening and the canvas was too strong for him to bite way through. So he couldn't even bite the canvas. His efforts to get out only had the effect of making the bag roll about on the floor or occasionally jump into the air. So being a naughty monkey, he wanted to get out, but the only thing he could do was to make to make the bag roll on the floor or sometimes jump in the air because there was no escape from the bag. And it was an exhibition that attracted curious crowd of onlookers on the Dehradun railway platform. So when they saw the bag rolling or jumping, the people on the platform was attracted. They were curious and they were gathering there to see what is happening. Now Toto remained in the bag as far as Saharanpur. But while grandfather was producing his ticket at the railway turnstile, so while grandfather was showing his ticket, Toto suddenly poked his head out of the bag and gave the ticket collector a wide grin. He gave the ticket collector a wide smile at the place where grandfather had to show his ticket. The poor man was taken aback. The ticket collector was surprised. He was shocked. But with great presence of mind, and much to grandfather's annoyance, he said, "Sir, you have a dog with you. You will have to pay for it accordingly." So he used his presence of mind and he said that you have a dog with you and you will have to pay for it accordingly. So there was a charge for dog. In vain means uselessly did grandfather take Toto out of bag. So grandfather tried to explain to the ticket collector that Toto is not a dog, but it was all useless. It was all in vain. And in vain, he tried to prove that monkey doesn't qualify as a dog or even as a quadruped. Quadruped is an animal with 4 feet. Toto was kept in the category of dog by the ticket collector and 3 rupees sum was handed over by grandfather to the ticket collector as his fare. Now, grandfather, just to get his own back, to get one's own back means to do something bad or unpleasant to someone who has treated one badly or unfairly. So grandfather thought that the ticket collector has treated him badly. So just to get his own back, he took from his pocket his pet tortoise and said, "What must I pay for this? Since you charge for all animals." So in annoyance, grandfather said that, "What should I pay for this since you are charging for all kind of animals?" Now the ticket collector had a close look at the tortoise. He prodded means he poked it with his forefinger, and then he gave a pleased and triumphant look. Triumphant means victorious, winning look to grandfather, and he said, "No charges for this. It is not a dog." Toto had quite an adventurous journey to Saharanpur. Toto and Nana the donkey. Toto was finally accepted by grandmother and he was given a comfortable home in the stable where he had a companion, which was a family donkey, Nana. On Toto's first night in the stable, grandfather decided to pay him a visit to see if he was comfortable. But to his surprise, he found Nana without any apparent cause or reason pulling at her halter. Halter is a rope which is put around the neck. So Nana was pulling that rope and she was trying to put her head as far as possible from the bundle of hay. Donkeys are supposed to eat hay, but Nana was keeping her head as far as possible. Grandfather gave Nana a slap across her haunches. Haunches means the buttock and the thigh area of animal. So seeing that, grandfather slapped on Nana's haunches and Nana with a jerk dragged Toto with her. Nana jerked back and Toto was also dragged. He was fastened on to her long ears with his sharp little teeth. So Toto was holding Nana's ear with its teeth. That is why Nana was behaving so strangely. Toto and Nana never became friends. Toto's bathing adventure. A great treat for Toto during cold winter evening was a large bowl of warm water was given to him by grandmother for bath. He would cunningly, that means very cleverly, test the temperature with his hand first, then slowly step into the bath, first foot, then other, as he had seen the author doing, until he was completely into water up to his neck. Once comfortable, Toto would take the soap in his hand or feet and rub all over him. And the water became cold, he would just get out and run quickly, as quickly as he could, to the kitchen fire in order to dry himself. If anyone saw him doing that and laughed at him for his performance, Toto's feeling would be hurt and he would refuse to go to bath the next day. One day, Toto nearly succeeded in boiling himself alive. How? Let's see. A large kettle was left on the fire to boil for tea, and Toto, finding himself nothing better to do, decided to remove the lid of the kettle, and finding the water just warm enough for bath, he got into it with only his head sticking out from the open kettle. This was just fine until the water temperature was fine, but once the water started to boil, Toto then raised himself a little, but finding it too cold outside, because Dehradun weather is quite cold during winters, he sat down again and he continued this. He continued hopping up and down for some time until grandmother came and hauled. Halt means pull or drag with effort, half boiled Toto out of kettle, and this is how he was saved. Now Toto, as we saw, was a completely mischievous monkey, and if there was a part of brain especially devoted to mischief, that part was largely developed in Toto. So the part of brain which, if there is a part of brain that is completely for mischief, it was there completely developed in Toto, because he was always tearing things to pieces, and whenever one of author's aunts came near, he made every effort to get hold of her dress and tear a hole in it. So Toto was completely mischievous. What did Toto do with pulao dish one day? Let's see. Toto runs away with pulao dish. So one day at lunchtime, a large bowl of pulao, a large dish of pulao was there. Pulao is a dish which is made of rice. It was there in the center of dining table. And as author and the family entered the room, they found Toto stuffing himself with rice. Toto was eating all the rice and the grandmother screamed. Toto threw a plate on her when the grandmother screamed, and one of author's aunts rushed forward. That aunt also received a glass of water on her face. When grandfather arrived, Toto picked up the dish of pulao and he went out of the window. Later, author and the family found Toto in the branches of jackfruit tree and the dish was still in his arms. He remained there till afternoon, eating slowly all the rice. He was determined to finish every grain. And then in order to spite grandmother, that means in order to relieve grandmother who was screaming at him, he threw the dish down from the tree and chattered with delight. And then he started laughing when the dish broke into 100 pieces. So Toto had all the pulao, and when the pulao was over, he threw the dish. Finally, Toto was returned. Obviously, Toto was not a sort of pet which author and his family could keep for long. Even the grandfather realized that they were not so well-to-do and could not afford the frequent loss of all the dishes, clothes, curtains, wallpaper, which Toto either used to tear or break or smear. So grandfather found the Tonga driver and he sold Toto back to him only for 3 rupees. He bought Toto for 5 rupees and sold him back to the same Tonga driver only for 3 rupees. So this was Adventure of Toto. Wasn't Toto a completely naughty monkey? Do you also have a pet which is naughty? Just let me know about it. Share your experience. So this was about the chapter, students. I will see you in my next video. Till then, bye-bye. Take care. Finally, Toto was returned. Obviously, Toto was not a sort of pet which author and his family could keep for long. Even the grandfather realized that they were not so well-to-do and could not afford the frequent loss of all the dishes, clothes, curtains, wallpaper, which Toto either used to tear or break or smear. So grandfather found the Tonga driver and he sold Toto back to him only for 3 rupees. He bought Toto for 5 rupees and sold him back to the same Tonga driver only for 3 rupees. So this was Adventure of Toto. Wasn't Toto a completely naughty monkey? Do you also have a pet which is naughty? Just let me know about it. Share your experience. So this was about the chapter, students. I will see you in my next video. Till then, bye-bye. Take care.